All right. What is going on, everyone? We are live. Welcome back to the Unconventional Mindset. My name's Odum, and we are working towards building a company that is going to generate us $1 million in revenue every single, I almost said day, every single year. We'll get to every day, maybe at some point. We're going to be Amazon. Um, but yeah, every single year. That's what we're working towards. And if you remember, we're 10% of the way there in terms of what we made last year. This year, we're aiming to hit 250K in revenue, which would be absolutely phenomenal. And what we're doing, of course, is we have Pixel Media, which is our creative agency. And we have just launched Pixel Pieces, which is our Webflow component and template library. And I've actually been giving a lot of thought about this Webflow component and template library. And because this past week, we've spent a lot of time in Figma designing or doing a wireframe for our one of the first templates that we want to launch, which is a template for people to create their own what am I thinking for their own membership website. But I'm having some hesitations in that I think what's best is, again, trying to be singular focused. I'm really thinking about a lot of the stuff that I've heard from this thing is squeaks so loud. Hopefully that's not coming through. What I've heard from people like Alex Hermosi and a lot of people talk about business wise is get really, really good at one thing and figure out how to do that one thing really, really good. Kevin, what's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm just off for my pre-game or pre-show rant and talk about what I think I need to focus on. So a lot of these guys, they talk about learn how to do one thing really, really well, figure out how to sell that multiple times, and then just keep going at it until you get to the point where you're making so much money with just even that one thing. Then you could kind of branch off into other things. So my thought process has been, and I kind of talked a little bit about this with the people at my coaching thing that I'm going through, is anyways, I'm thinking of, I love the idea of doing templates, but I think I should set that aside for now and really focus on making this component piece of the business, which I guess is kind of the whole business right now, make that the absolute best I possibly can. Make the best components, have the best library, and just kill it at components, right? See if I can get that to really, really fly and resonate with people. And yeah, just blow people away with the components, and don't stop and don't sleep until you have the best components in the world, right? So, and while I like to do templates, I don't think, I don't know. I know other people aren't doing that, but I think maybe I kind of know why, because it is a little bit more complicated in terms of getting your templates to people, because we don't have access to the whole Webflow backend. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know, Kevin, I don't know what you think about that, if you think that's a good idea or not, but I think it makes the most sense, because even at this point, I'm a little afraid to go full on marketing with my components, because I still feel like there's things that I need to do with them to make them better, to be for me 100% happy with what I have, right? So the phrase, keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah, exactly. So, and something was bothering me this week too when I was working on designing the template or the wireframe. And I was just I want to do this because I know there's other stuff that I want to do on the side. But then it's just am I actually doing what I need to be doing? Is this going to help me and help the business? Yeah. So, and I think it for this week, it was it's not. I'm not doing what I think I need to be doing to get to that first million. As I've heard from my first million, the first million, I've never heard of that. That's a podcast that I need to be listening to. Is that a financial podcast? My first million. That is this, I imagine. Oh, these guys. Yeah, okay, yeah. I know these guys. Yeah, these guys are awesome. Yeah. I listen to these guys it's funny. I listen to them, but I don't even know like their name, but now I know they're my first million. Okay, cool. So you've heard that from these guys? Okay, that's good. So yeah, I'm on the right track. Yeah, I think, people always talk about identifying your weaknesses and knowing kind of what you're not good at. And I think I really have this problem of, what is it, the shiny object syndrome, where I'll do something and then I'll see something else. I'll be like, that's awesome. Go do that. But yet not putting literally like the 100% effort on that thing and do that thing for like a long time, right? Until you can actually get to the point where you're like, I've exhausted everything I possibly can in this area. So anyway, so with all that being said, I figured what we can do today is I have Asana open here because this is where I just track the things that I want to do. And I'll just make a list of all the different components that I think would be really good to build. And then even if I could think of things that I need to do to improve upon the components that are already built as well. And that's here. And Kevin, if you have any ideas out there, please do let me know. And especially of the things that I've already done here in the past. What is this page? Oh yeah, this is everything. Okay. Yeah, so we'll get started with that. And then, yeah, we're just going to keep building. And on the side, I guess the thing that I'm doing off screen is I'm getting ready to create the whole Pixel YouTube channel and create tutorials and educational videos on, number one, how to use Pixel pieces, obviously. And then, but also more generally, how to use Webflow, how to get started making websites, all that kind of stuff, which will hopefully draw people into the whole Pixel ecosystem about learning everything not learning everything there is to know about Webflow, but learning how to use Webflow, kind of target it for the beginner, intermediate kind of person wanting to learn. And hopefully, yeah. So anyways, that's happening behind the scenes. But until those things are ready to go, like I said, I do want to make sure that I work my absolute hardest to make the components the best that they possibly can be, and always work to improve them. I think one of the things I do need to think about is, we talked about this a couple days ago, is what is it called? Not style guides. I guess it's style guides, but what's the word I'm looking for? Frameworks. Picking the best frameworks. And I guess I shouldn't say picking the best framework. I think what I want to say is, should I offer the components in multiple different frameworks? And I think the two frameworks would really be the Mast one and Client First. From my understanding, those are the two most popular ones. And I'll just say update to V2 of Client First framework. And that's actually more in the style guide thing here. So review V2 of Client First and update style guide as needed. Okay. Just thinking about that podcast, Kevin, do you have like a favorite podcast that you've heard from those guys? Maybe something that you kind of go back and listen to every once in a while for inspiration or motivation or whatever. Although I don't think it's the best place to get motivation from that. Motivation's got to come from within. You got to want to do something. You shouldn't rely on external sources for motivation, but definitely inspiration. Okay, so components. So one thing about components, I wonder if Pixel can build components that are a little bit more grandiose than like the little bite-sized components. And what I mean by that is, what if we created almost kind of like full layouts of not pages, not full pages, but almost full pages. So for example, would be a blog section. What if we created a component that has like the blog post and then like also the sidebar to it? So it has kind of everything that's kind of built in. I wonder if those types of components would be useful. And then of course, if you, yeah, because it's almost creating, I want to say, I don't want to say layouts, but but that does come into where my free template, which is just going to be a collection of components kind of put together, that whole naked theme, naked flow, because we still can't forget about that one. Okay, well, let's just start writing down ideas and then we'll go from there. And if they're bad, they're bad. And if they're good, then they're good. I guess, obviously. The level of depth in my logic here is just mind-blowing. Okay, so what about, so I'll just put blog page sections. So the idea here would be, let's just maybe go into the description here. Layout of, a blog section that is complete with like a sidebar. And obviously the sidebar can have different pieces as well too. So I think I could be wrong about this, but maybe the idea here would be that the components are a little bit more, I don't want to use the word complicated in the sense that it'll be harder to use, but that they're more intricate than, say, other components which have just like little individual pieces. But they're more complicated in the sense that maybe if we combine them with a video which shows, hey, this is how you can use this, and here's also how you can modify it very easily to add different pieces to the sidebar or change it from a 3-column to a 2-column layout for the grid for, the blog posts. Things like that I think would be pretty beneficial, because again, I could create one blog layout and I could create 20 different versions by just tweaking the little, where this layout is. And, this one has the metadata for the blog author. This one doesn't. And I don't know. Again, I feel that that's cheap. I don't want to have 20 different components that are very, very similar. So anyways, and that could be our differentiator from the competition as well. Okay, layout of a blog section that is complete with sidebar. I'll just put a note here. With sections, we can have it so that they are easily and highly customizable, and we can create tutorials on how to use them, how to use and modify them. And this is instead of creating 20 to 40 very, similar versions, and padding our component count. So one thing I watched, I think I watched this, was it today? I think was it this morning when I was on the bike? Yeah, I think it was this morning. Anyways, it was a Chris Dove video. I mean, his videos are just phenomenal. So I was watching one of his videos, and he was talking to a group about branding, and it was something where he was comparing different brands and how they differentiate themselves from like the competition. Yeah, I know he's amazing. He has his thing where he has like his pro plans where you get coached by him. It's like 36K a year, and I have nowhere near that amount of money. But if I did, it's like I would like to be mentored by that guy would be like phenomenal. I would pay that in a heartbeat if I could. Anyways, maybe even his master classes. But see, I'm more interested in the business aspect, not in the I want to learn how to design aspect, because like whatever. The business is what's really I think that's what's holding me back in my career, is knowing how to do business really well as opposed to knowing how to design really well. Anyways, to the story. So he's how brands differentiate from themselves, and he was talking about number one was the Microsoft being the big thing, and then the Mac versus PC, and then when Apple came out with their ads, and those were genius ads of the what was that guy's name? What's that guy's name? Justin Long, I think is his name. Yeah, it was like, hey, I'm a Mac, I'm a PC, and the Mac guy was just this old guy dressed up in a suit and tie or whatever, and then the Mac guy is like, I'm new and hip, and it's position yourself like look at what your competitor does and just position yourself as like the opposite. And just figure out how you can carve out your niche that way. So that was like, hey, you're a hip guy. You're not all about spreadsheets and whatever. And that's Apple, which is an amazing campaign. And then they gave another example of like Listerine versus Scope. And Listerine was, hey, we kill bad breath and, we don't taste good, blah, 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 whatever. And then Scope came on the scene. We're like, I can't remember what it was, but it's like, we don't taste like medicine or whatever it is. It's like, you just do opposite of the competition. So then I'm thinking about like, okay, what can I do with pixel pieces? I haven't spent too much time thinking about this. How do I can differentiate from Relume and Flowbase and all these other guys? And it could be something as simple as, I don't know how to word this at all, but yeah, we don't have thousands of components that you have to like fish through to order to find what you need. It's just like simple and like elegant, like it's just there. Again, I have no idea how to verbalize that, but that's just my thought process of, that's how we could be different, is that we don't inundate you with thousands of options, because it's actually options. They're not always good. Again, is that a good way to go about it? I don't know. This is where the whole trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, where it's going to be really exciting of really trying to work on like the content marketing and all that kind of stuff, and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and how to actually build a business. So looking forward to trying out all these things. Anyways, just something that I've been thinking of off the back of my mind here all day, actually, since I heard that that talk. And I think it was a part one. It came out recently. There's part one. I'm like, I need part two, and then it's just not posted yet. So, which is really very frustrating. So you don't want to be influenced by Relume, but perhaps signing up for a trial and playing around with will reveal some pain points that you can solve for. I have I do have an account with them, so I have been playing around in there before. I haven't in a while, but I do go in there now and then just to kind of see what is going, what they have going on. But I never actually used their stuff, so it's a good point. I probably should, not to be afraid, because I don't want to copy, obviously. But yeah, and it is a good point to figure out what pain points I could potentially see for how my workflow is. So yeah, point taken. So I'll give that a shot. And I definitely don't have an account with any of these other people, so I should definitely check them out just to see what's going on. So yeah, good point. But I don't know. Like, I mean, I look at their product and I look at their website. I'm like, they seem like they're doing a really good job. It's like, I don't know. But I guess, is everything perfect? No. So there's always things that, maybe not do better, but even just do differently. Yeah, I don't know. The one thing that I see from them is I think over the past year they've expanded into a lot of different areas where they have their template builder, or they have like the AI site generator, and they have like some lorem ipsum stuff. And I'm like, are they spreading out so far that now they're not so much known as this one thing, but they have multiple things? Maybe that could be a weakness that I could help kind of get me into the marketplace. But that being said too, is I don't think the marketplace is so crowded. Like, it's Microsoft and every single person has a computer and has Windows, and how am I going to penetrate that market with my new OS? I don't think it's that busy, because how many percentages of people right now are building in Webflow? It's a very small percentage of people. So I think there's so much room for the whole industry itself to grow. So if I can focus on trying to help people get into Webflow for one, and then get them into using some type of component library, I think that could be a win for everybody. Right. Okay, so back to the thinking about components. Right, so blog page sections. That could be a component. Oh, let me put this in. This would be a component. All right. So what other sections? So I think we should just maybe, number one, look at the different types of components that we have so far. So we have team page, call to action, reviews, testimonials, pricing, subscribe form, accordion. So we don't have anything for, a couple things stick out to me. A slider component. Yeah, there's lots of different types of sliders. Obviously, they have the built-in one. But there's lots of different things. Even with the slider that's built in, there's lots of things that you need to do in order to customize it for your needs. So there could be something to be done with that. With that. Again, the idea as well behind these components is that, just like Reloom, they're not pre-designed or styled. They're really kind of meant to be open for you to go ahead and run with it and create your own thing. So we have to be a little bit cautious of that. So we can almost make this a little bit more in depth and be like a hero slider. A hero slider, or what are those other sliders when yeah, you just have lots of content and lots of, it could be like a news slider as well too. Hero, or yeah. So you have different ways to showcase the news. That's actually would be almost something completely different from a hero slider, if a hero slider is just like image based or what have you. So hero, and so I think we can say, say do some, well, no. Image-based sliders with custom previous next with slider what is it called when you have sliders, like it has the 1 2 3 4, like it just has the numbers, like the count? What are those things called? I don't know what they're called. With just like navigation, like elements. Ugh, that's not what it's called. Ooh, that's a good one. Navigation elements, and I'm just thinking like numbers. When the timer goes down as well too, when the slider, then it changes. That's really cool. Numbers, countdown bars, just etc. Throw that in there. Could be, yeah. Can be text heavy sliders with News articles and excerpts. Excerpts. There we go. Yeah. So range sliders and increments. So are you talking about like UI tools and like UI pieces for like actually manipulating data within like whatever, like it in like whatever, like, you know what I mean, like select like your price range and then you slide that or whatever. Is that the kind of slider you mean, or do you mean a range slider in the actual sliders of what I'm talking about here in this hero section? Because yeah. Oh, not sure. Trying to think of the name for what you're looking for. Yeah. I think I'm. Yeah, I think just having that, like the navigation elements, numbers. I know exactly what I mean when I mean it's just those things that it's like the preview. It's like the preview of, well, sometimes it could be a preview as well. It really depends on how you want to design it. This is where you can get really, really fancy. Because you can have the previous and next images like below, or that's almost like an image gallery, actually, which is actually probably something that we should have too. Now that I think about it, image gallery. Yeah, just an image gallery. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Well, there's two different things. There's types of image gallery, right? There's like lightbox style, and then there's also just like a masonry style. Masonry style. What other kind of style? I mean, you can get lots of. There's lots of different animations and stuff you can do in each of these types of image galleries. So we'll leave it there for now. But I was thinking with that whole thing about range sliders, it could be like form. It's not so much form elements. Again, I don't know if this. What did I just do? We'll call it just UI elements. Yeah, UI elements. And then those could be thinking about elements that you use to modify. I'll just say dynamic data. So an example could be like on-off toggle switch. Could be like, yeah, oops, on capital range slider. You can have, I guess you can have loaders, but that's slightly different. Oop. These things would be more fancy than just kind of Webflow components, because a lot of these things could have just custom code in them, which is fine too. I don't think that's too big of a deal. You know what else I'm thinking? I just thought about this right now with this UI elements, is just having a dynamic pricing table. See, the thing that really sucks about Webflow components is that when you cut and paste them, you don't cut and paste actual data from a database. which kind of sucks. But again, if we create something that can have really good documentation, I think people will understand how they could take something on pixel pieces that might be driven by a database, but then implement it onto their own website. So what I mean by that is this dynamic pricing table. It's basically just like the pricing table that I have on my site, where you click, pay monthly or yearly, and then it changes the price based on what you select. And you can have those prices in the database, and they come into view depending on where your little sliders is selected, right? So building a component like that, I think, would be pretty handy, but it's going to require a little bit of work on the user side to configure it with the right data. But I don't know if anybody else, and I don't know if Reloom does that kind of stuff where they have things that are more dynamic, or if it's more of a they're more like static stuff where the page is the page and you just kind of put in your data. And if you want to do anything more complex, then you have to go somewhere else. Because that could be something else that could be really cool, is that our components can be so high quality and so like high functioning, like very functional components that have cool interactions and animations or what have you. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I have to do some more research on that. So Kevin, yeah, you think the page is the page in terms of what am I doing here? There we go. In terms of what Reloom has, yeah. So if they don't have any ability to do dynamic updating, then that could be something that I can tap into to give me a little bit of a, not a leg up, but just to provide something new. But then again, I don't want to worry too much about what everyone else is doing. Because, I mean, a website's a website. It's going to need hero sections and footers and all that kind of stuff. Can I select all of these? And let's throw them all into components. Cool. I can do that. Nice. Okay. So a dynamic pricing table. So UI elements. Maybe. What else can we... What other components do we need? One thing that I find really tough to do is components that are for just your basic content that's going to go in the middle of a page, right? Like even if you just think of this website, like here, this is a content area because that's like a block of content, right? This here is like a content area. This is a content area. Yeah, this is maybe more of a call to action thing. This is where I think, yeah. Organic. It could be trying to find the commonalities of specific content areas and put them in. Yeah, I don't know how we can get away with not having like 1,000 different content areas. Well, I mean, not 1,000. I'm exaggerating here quite a bit, but yeah, I think we do need, because we don't have any kind of content areas. Yeah, we don't. So let's throw that in there. Content sections. And we do have call to action. What does our call to action look like? Okay. We could do better. We could definitely do better on this. Because this is the call to action specifically with Well, buttons, text. Because I'm just going to write this down here right now. And I want to put in a call to action that has like a bullet list points for a user to consider. So, but do we just add this? Just add this to the current call to action component. Because I guess I was just looking at the call to action on Pixel Pieces itself, and it's different than this one. Obviously, I'm not trying to solicit emails, not trying to. I don't have any buttons. Well, I guess I do have the one button, but it's basically title, text, and then some bullet points. So maybe we throw that in here and then there. So again, the one component can solve like 99%. Well, 99, but maybe 90% of the people that are going to want to use a call to action and what they're going to want to have in that call to action. Right. Okay. Think about it. Yeah, a history or roadmap on about pages. Yeah, so we wrote this one down a couple days ago. And this is basically when you have an about page and you have a list of years and you scroll down and then it kind of like a timeline view of like your company or whatever. So just to create a component like that, that's kind of pre-made. History, roadmap, slash timeline. What other sections? Let's go to, let's just peruse some websites and see what we can see. And if we can kind of think about, oh, here's a different type of a section. Sites of the day. All right, let's just open up a couple here. We'll go have a look. Just image. Yeah, because these are just content sections basically. But this one's kind of interesting how it has these kind of sticky animations. So having things like that have these kind of pre-built sections that are, again, they're not styled, but they're fully functional. I think that would be kind of cool. So what can we, content section. So let's say, think about having sections with a mix of text and images and having interactions baked in. Think sticking elements together. Bringing things in and out of focus, etc. A bunch of things, right? Whatever. Cool animations. So that's cool. It's interesting. As you scroll, oh, it changes. It's got this little thing. This is like the slider thing that I was talking about. What are these things called? Because it goes to the next one. That's actually really cool. Again, too, like a user, they're not going to care about this, but as designers, we're just like, this is the coolest thing. All right. Yeah, just the context section. This is just a little bit of a, not a parallax, but just things. I guess these are just stacked in, and then the scroll level hits, and then it just goes off. Yeah, just these are definitely more animation things than content things, at least that I'm seeing. Again, this is just a simple 3-column thing. And again, this is very specific to the design of this website. So to make something, so you'd almost want to, So like if I was going to say extrapolate this, how would I extrapolate this into a component? Like something like this would be highly specific to the brand and whatever kind of content is on a website. So to make this into a component would be kind of ridiculous. But to make something like this where, okay, you have a title, a description, and an image below, that could be a component. And then you could take that component and switch it and like copy and paste it into your own little 3-column grid or whatever it is that you're building. And then you could take another content component, which would be something like this, where it's a background color with a logo, again, just some text, whatever the case may be, and a little footer thing. There's obviously different things you can put in here as placeholders. And then people can mix and match those. But but again, there's like a million different ways that you can slightly configure a small little content block. So I don't know how we can do that by sticking true to the idea of quality, not quantity. This actually gives me an idea of this is kind of cool. I wonder how that works mobile. This gives me an idea of like some kind of sticky for a shopping cart. That's actually, here we go. We haven't even thought about this. Just e-commerce. I mean, there's a whole e-commerce section. To be clear, full disclosure, I don't know what the word is. I've actually never built a website or an e-commerce website on Webflow before. So I don't even think I've played around with something, but I should. But that being said, there's got to be a whole bunch of different e-commerce components that we can make and have a whole section for e-commerce. So that is probably actually pretty big. Well, actually, I wonder how popular Webflow e-commerce is. I came across something the other day for SaaS business, and it's called, what is it called? Shit. It's Lemon Squeezy or something like that. Is it Lemon Squeezy? Or Easy Squeezy? Squeezy, e-commerce? Or, yeah. Yeah, Lemon Squeezy. I've seen this before, but I still don't even know what the hell they do. I feel the all-in-one storefront you could deploy as a standalone hosted checkout. So I don't know if they're like a Stripe competitor or if they're like a Shopify competitor. Anyways, the point I'm saying is I don't know how competitive Webflow's e-commerce ecosystem is, whether it's worth trying to do things from there if people just don't even really use Webflow for e-commerce, if people are using other platforms for that. Like, would you, if you were going to start selling stuff online and offline, why would you use Webflow if something like Shopify already exists and you have the POS system and all that kind of stuff, the point of sales and all those other things that just work for you with inventory management and stuff, where Webflow doesn't have any of that stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. And I think it's the same thing for what Webflow has done with their memberships and their logic and their other stuff that they've branched out a little bit. And I feel like they're not putting any more work into actually developing that stuff, which is fine. If they don't want to, then that's fine. They just want to focus on their core product of allowing people to build great websites with no code, which is fantastic. Focus on your core product. But yeah, so if they're not really doing anything with e-commerce or trying to make it better or whatever, are those components going to be valuable if people aren't using them? Anyways, that's neither here nor there, I guess. So, but the idea here would be we could create an array of components which basically tackle all the elements that Webflow make available when you create a storefront. Right. All right. So are we back? Yeah, we're back here. I don't think this is an animation. I think this is just like a GIF or something like that. Well, this is interesting in terms of like informational content, right? Like yeah, like you have sorry, my ear's a little itchy. You have what am I thinking? You know when you see a website and they're like, I've actually had to do this for some clients. Well, I mean, I think pretty much everyone has. Where you have like statistics, right? Like, oh, we've generated $50 million in sales and we've had this much, whatever, just like those numbers that people showcase. I think maybe more cheesily in some of the like web design companies, it's like, oh yeah, we've drank 2,000 cups of coffee and whatever. And all those, just the numbers that somebody wants to convey. So having those kinds of things pre-built, I guess this had me thinking about it here, where this is kind of like almost tabular type data, but obviously this is not in a table. I mean, it could be. I have no idea how they built this. But you know, it's not just straight numbers, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea. Okay, so let's put in. The first thing I'm going to put in is like statistical numbers and showcases. Right, that's I think pretty self-explanatory. And what was I thinking? Tabular data. These can be presented as a 2-column layout with information left, right, justified with information on each like line. That's basically my description for like this kind of stuff right here. Yeah. Okay, you're Opal, I think. Cool. Cool. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay, what's going on here? This is just kind of a scroll effect. This stuff just bothers me endlessly. So basically I have to scroll, like I'm scrolling a lot to get all this here. I appreciate the animations, but oh my goodness, when it takes me so long to scroll just to get to the information, I find that to be not the greatest user experience. Like, what is all this stuff here? I don't know. Again, so much scrolling. That animation was a little bit of a bust. Okay, this site is just way too animation heavy. What's going on here? I don't know. Everything's stuck. Stuck at 99%. Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything too component-y wise here that we haven't already thought of. Dun, 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 dun. Elevate your web design skills. Oh, that's an ad. Okay. Connect with your breath. All right. Studio D. Spatial design from an eye level. Ooh, interesting A on this font. What font is this? That is not Times New Roman. Yeah, I mean, just very standard content boxes. Kind of cool effect here. Going from the previous to the next. Actually, that's really cool. Then this little effect here. Yeah, nothing blown away. This is where it's... See, this is where a lot of the things come from, the design, right? Where a component is almost like laying down the HTML, but the CSS is what brings it to life. So that's why I like the idea of having the one thing that's built, that's the HTML, that's the structure, and then use your CSS to position it in a way that makes sense for you on your page. Oh, do not autoplay music. Oh, it's the worst. Nothing's happening. Okay. It's like an interactive thing. Cool. Nothing's going on. Yeah, I mean, again, very very simple content blocks here. Just animation effect. Yeah, so the question could be is, can we or should we create components that are more animated focused? And I don't think so. I don't think that's what I want to do. Text animations. So say moving right to left. Right to left when scrolling down. Text auto scrolling. And repeating like on a logo, like a logo carousel. Carousel, there, that's the word. And yeah, I don't think we need to get too crazy on animations. No. Oh, no, thank you. Oh, the background's kind of interesting. It's got just keeps moving, this animation. This is cool too, this little hover effect here on the submit button. It's a big submit button, just in case you miss it. Okay. All right, what else? So what do we have here so far? Blog set, page sections, hero, news sliders, image gallery, UI elements, dynamic pricing table, content sections, which is going to be a kind of a big thing. Or can potentially be a big thing. There was some call to action stuff that I was thinking of improving. E-commerce, having a look at the Webflow e-commerce section and seeing if there's anything we want to do with that. I mean, you can have, what am I looking for? What am I thinking of? Like product pages, right? There's product page, there's the shopping cart, there's the shopping cart page itself, but then there's also the shopping cart, kind of when you just click on it from the home page. So there could be kind of like a whatever menu thing there with the shopping cart, and different ways to showcase different numbers for statistics. And then the tabular data, how can we get tabular looking information? And it's almost like a Q&A in a sense, where you have the one thing on the left and one thing on the right. But I think it would be more of what's not so much tabular data, but it's almost like informational, right? And an example would be, let's go with an example. Like nutritional label, right? So you have the item and then the number, right? So it's like A and then B. So that's the kind of information that I'm trying to convey here in this kind of component. It's almost kind of like this binary, heading or descriptor, and then like the description or the value, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's one example. If I could think of others, I'll put it in there. And then text animations. Yeah, the text moves right to left as you scroll. Text/images auto scrolling. So things just, you have a list of 10 logos or whatever, and they can't just scroll in and out of the screen, and then it repeats. That's probably going to need some JavaScript as well too, so we'll have to think about that. What other components can we have? Or should we focus on as well? I think the other question that we need to ask, which is similar to something that we did talk about the other day, is should we design all components in Figma? If we design in Figma, we can make them available to our members. So we definitely could do that. But should we? I don't know. And that might not be till later on. Okay, I think there's a lot of work that we can do with even just these ones, because we definitely need to, like, the content sections can be huge. So we're going to have to figure out how we're going to simplify that. So we might need to, content sections. So actually, let's just go with layout sections as well. We can create a few standard layouts which can be populated with different say content components, content section components. Again, I don't know if any of this stuff is going to make sense. So I'm just kind of writing down all the ideas that I can think of right now, and then we'll see about building them and if they're going to work. So when I say a layout section, so if there's something that's 3 columns or 4 columns, again, that's also in the style guide as well too, to create that. So I think having a component for that is kind of probably not practical. So probably not. Initial thoughts are a thumbs down, but we'll see. I'll write down any idea, even if it's bad. Okay, another component. What other components do we need? We have like sidebar stuff. We got some footers. We got some navigations. Menus. What about even like internal page? Oh, I know. Yeah, internal page navigation. So what I mean by that could be sticky sidebar menu. Just kind of a basic basic horizontal menu structure. Yeah. Again, lots of different things we can do with that. So like when you're on an internal page where that page itself can have navigations that are not in the main menu, right? So we can make sure to have those components as well. Whoop. Ooh. Oh, excuse me. Anything else? Anything else that jumps out of the table as being something that people really, really want and need in their components? The thing that I can think of off the top of my head. Okay, there's a couple things here that I think we need to update here. So let's go to our templates page. Let's update. Templates will be coming to Pixel. We'll just say soon. So we don't know exactly when that means. Templates will be coming to Pixel. Like at the start of 2024. Or should I just say soon? Let's just say Q1 2024. That sounds really too corporate. We'll just say that. And let's go to our template page. So say check out our components. I'll just say get started. Components today. There we go. I'll just say templates coming soon. And we'll just leave it at that. We'll publish that. Okay, so I think you have a good plan of attack here. So I have these components written down, and I think we're going to get started. I need to figure out tonight. I need to think about the framework to use and just do some updates on the framework if need be with client first. And then I need to think about if I need to be designing these things in Figma or not. And then we need to just create the new ones. And we'll probably get started on that tomorrow. We'll start building because that's the most fun thing to do. And yeah, start building. And then on the side, we're going to get ready to start marketing and get people to use it. Because I'm kind of torn between, I need to go to my existing components and I need to update them and make them better, make them what have you. But I need people to use it. And I need to be able to get that feedback. So it's kind of like that, well, I don't want to waste time trying to fix something that I don't even know is broken. So other people need to use them. And I need to use them as well, too, obviously, to the stuff that I want to build. So I don't have any clients right now as well, too. So it's kind of like this. Yeah, anyways. So yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it there for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Much appreciated, as always. And yeah, tomorrow we'll get into Webflow or Figma or whatever, and we're gonna start designing and building again, which is a really fun thing to do. So we'll do that. Have yourself a great rest of your day, great night, great evening, great morning, great whatever it is and whenever it is that you're watching. And we'll see you here for another live stream tomorrow.